We're live.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Reborn Live. And all I have to say is thank you so much for being so patient with us. This live stuff is actually no joke and it's a pain.
Yeah.
I think yesterday we spent almost an hour, right? Trying to go live, trying to kick it off. And it's been teaser after teaser where we'll go on for like 2 or 3 minutes and then disconnected or the upload speed crashed or the mics go out halfway, or just a black screen. And I mean, it was just nightmare after nightmare, which means that was definitely the devil tempting it.
Yeah.
But today, it was only one issue, and we think we resolved it. And I want to thank you so much if you're jumping on, tuning in. Thank you for your patience. That means a lot to all of us because we're probably one step away from going clinically insane.
Well, that's been debated for me anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been pretty borderline. But anyways, welcome to Reborn Live. We are kicking this episode off immediately. We got Miss Kaya hanging out with us. We got Brother Pastor Ed hanging out with us. And you got me, the one from the Holy Dome. So I wanted to kick off our topic, and it's about competing with faith. And, you know, my series and my segments kind of go all kind of like sports related and stuff like that, because I think it's something that's a little bit viewed in two ways. There's no true grays. Either athletes, and those are the people who are over dedicated on their time and that they don't have a true relationship with God himself. They just claim their Christianity and but don't display it. And then you have the opposite end who are, you know, believers and stuff like that. And this is perception. I'm not stating this as facts, that are going with, you know, you can't compete in sports. You know, that's sinful. You're taking away God's time. And during our time before we went live, Kaya brought a really cool, interesting point that we'll bring up here in a little bit, because I loved how you defined it. And I had some notes about this that I wanted to read off. And it's about imagine competing with freedom, knowing that win, loss, or draw, you're indeed bringing glory to God. Imagine enjoying competition and bringing out the best in your opponent so you both become something better. Imagine your sport not being an end to your own glory, but a platform, like we talked about earlier, to grow closer to God and impact others' God's kingdom. We believe that all this is possible if you are willing, and that God can lead you on a journey to transforming how you integrate faith and sports. And then you don't have to use faith as a good luck charm, which we know, because I've been always guilty of this, is that I had rituals before every game, especially if I had one of my best games. I made sure I remembered everything I did, from the way I woke up to what I ate,
dirty socks.
to dirty socks.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, all of it, to exactly the same food to the T, and make sure that this is, I have to do this, or otherwise I am going to have the absolute worst game of my life.
Yeah.
You know, and it was all about timing. And it's funny because, you know, ritualistic pregame prayers, as what they like to call them, is that was what they kept on doing every single game.
Yeah.
But
we did that when I was playing football. For the 4 years that I was playing varsity football, the coach would have us pray a prayer. This is the beginning of a new day. And I can't remember I could if I sat and thought through it, but I remember the gist of it. He says, do your very best, because you're trading a day of your life for this, you know. And it's like that always, you know, at the end of the day, I hate using that because that's what all the politicians, at the end of the day, but you get to the end of the day and you start to reflect on your day and you go, you know, did I give my best, or did I kind of, you know, did I just mail it in?
Right.
You know?
And, you know, there's been a lot of events and games, and, you know, not particularly in sports. I mean, you have people who are way involved in the music that they have the same mentality as well, where did I play my best, you know, musically, talently, or did I sing it the way I should have sang it? Did I mess up on some chords and stuff? I mean, I love listening to music, but I'm not talented in that field. So, I mean, that's why we got Kai over here. She'll sing a K-pop song here for y'all in a little bit.
Please. I remember Yo-Yo Ma, you know, he's the cello, the virtuoso.
I was just about to ask if that was a K-pop.
Yo-Yo, no, it's not. It may be, I don't know. But Yo-Yo Ma, he was talking about his practice. How often you practice? 8 hours a day.
Mhm.
And then he goes, what if you don't practice? Would anybody know? He said, I would know.
Exactly.
And then he said, then the audience would know.
Yeah.
So it's, there's that type of dedication to become the kind of person that had that ability,
Mm-hmm.
and the question then becomes is, okay, so you do that with him for playing the football players and them for being able to play, but do you put the same effort when it comes to serving God?
Right. Exactly.
And that's where you talk about, is your faith, a
Mhm.
ritual and
all the ritualistic views and
Yeah.
stuff. And Kaya, which is the irony of this, and this is how I love how it works and meshes together, is the fact that Kaya brought up the same question that I had one of you viewers actually DM me about, and that's about, does God truly care about sports?
Mhm.
And her first, and it's okay, right? It's like your first perception was what?
That God doesn't care about sports.
Right. So Brother Ed over here provided a really good answer, and
the answer was, then why does he give him the gift?
exactly.
Yep.
So, and it's a very accurate point, because we are all given these abilities, these, to showcase for God himself.
Yeah.
He will do it. I mean, we had
Yeah.
an episode on your about a certain soccer player that I love that actually got his display right here. Been chasing him for a long time, but he was one that actually is, I truly believe that he's showcasing his faith to everybody.
Yeah.
Because, in a global standpoint in soccer, you're playing all over the world.
Mhm.
And obviously when it comes to that, you're playing in territories that are not a
Right.
fan of the Christian faith.
Right.
And
will you stand anyway?
will you still stand anyways? And Kaká, he's a Brazilian soccer player, for y'all, if you ever want to
Here we
learn
go
about
again.
it. Brother Ed's favorite name. He, every time he would celebrate, he'd take off his uniform, and under his thing it says, I belong with Jesus.
Mhm.
And he was very, very bold of that, and he had just tremendous people for him and truly against him because of those that standing. I mean, if you go bring it back to the American sports, you got football players like Harrison Butker, which we brought up several times.
Yep.
Who showcase his faith and everything like that. And that's where it brings to this, is that you are given these abilities and you are showcasing it for the world.
Yeah.
How are you going to showcase it for God himself? Are you going to step up and be bold for him?
Yeah.
Or are you going to just do what the typical players would say is, I just want to thank God for this game, and that's all you hear.
Yeah. And
that is literally all
then,
you hear.
And then the next day they go get a DUI, right?
Right. I think that just happened to Xavier Worthy.
I think it did. From the Kansas City
From
Chiefs.
the Chiefs fans.
Yeah, that wasn't good. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the guy, but the movie was made, Chariots of Fire, about him, and he would not run on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think there's a powerful statement in there on that. Now, things have changed a little bit. The guys, I know that professional teams, they have a church service. They don't know what it is, but
I know. I was
they
always
have
curious
church
what they
services.
are.
Yeah, they do go to those different services that they have, I think, for the various denominations. But the question was, in some of these, like the award they gave for their community service stuff they did, and that's pretty good stuff, know. And people would ask me, well, they don't go to church. They actually do. They do go, and then they're really there in the off seasons. Yeah. And I like the way the accommodation was made for them. It's the ones that don't ever go, but then they'll make I want to first and foremost thank my Lord Jesus Christ for, saving me. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. But when you start, and I'm not bunking that, but when you start making that claim, people are going to start setting expectations. Like when you start saying, I am a Christian,
right?
You set an expectation.
That bar is officially there.
You set a bar.
Like it is a permanent bar that you cannot just adjust or anything like that.
It's not a title. It's a goal, right?
And that brings back to my own personal lifestyle, where my daughter, my oldest one, she plays basketball and she's loving it. And she's doing a great, phenomenal job just putting in the work for it. And this was actually something, I don't remember if I ever got to tell you this in person or not, but we had it where her practices got moved to Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. And then this is where the true challenge is for a lot of parents is, where do I split that? Well, I tell you what I personally did. I actually spoke with the coach and everything and said, look, either you're going to have us there, or Harper's not going to be able to practice there whatsoever.
Mhm.
And
That's a powerful testimony to the rest of them when you do that. Go, God comes first.
right.
You know?
And so what me and the coach is a great guy. He's very nice and he was very understanding. And I respected his answer because he said, this was literally the only block that I have. And I'm like, that's fine. So what we ended up doing was Harper was able to practice about 35 minutes to the tee.
Mhm.
And then that gives us 10 to 15 minutes from her practice area to arrive at the church. And we did that.
Is that where we watched you play? Is where she practices? At?
Her practice was actually located somewhere else.
Okay,
That was
okay.
just where the games were.
Mhm.
But what we did is we ended practice. I told her to come off the court, and then we bounced.
Yeah.
We immediately bounced. And then after about 3 weeks of that, 2 of the girls on her team, who I would have never thought in my personal life would have ever said something like that, stopped Harper and say, "Why do you keep leaving?" And she goes, "Well, because I want to go to church.
Yep.
And I want to be there too." And the coach says like that and that, and he goes, "That's okay." And she goes, "Oh, I know that's okay, but why aren't we going?" So I thought that was that
the coach's kids?
That one of them was. One of them was.
Oh,
and
man.
the other girl was like, "Well, why do you go?" And that's when she was really standing strong in her faith. So she was a good testimony for those kids.
Yeah.
Because
very good.
those eyes were watching her and they were curious, like, why are you still doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why aren't you dedicating your full time over here versus here? And people that then ask, like, well, then you're taking away practice time for her. Yes, but I'm also then taking away God's time if I keep her there.
Yeah, which is more important.
Which is absolutely more important. It's like I have 6 days before her game to get her where she needs to be. And I know where my availability is.
Mhm.
Me and her will just go out there and we'll shoot hoops. We'll run our own drills. She put in the extra work outside of that.
Yeah.
Because she knew she sacrificed here, she can gain it here.
Yeah.
But she only has here at this time for this long at our service.
And it's a lot harder for her because those kids like that, they're a lot farther from the basketball goal than those professional athletes.
Oh, yeah. It's fun watching them play, but my
7 feet
goodness,
away.
they were playing at a full regulation.
Well, that's when
height.
I watched them. Yeah.
But
that's the powerful part of especially as people get better, like your soccer player there, and they go, but God comes first. God comes first. I mean, I made the mistake when after I'd gotten we got married and we were there, and I got selected on to a fast pitch softball team, and I would miss Sunday nights. One of the stupidest things I ever did. I missed that testimony. I'll be here after church, or I'll play before, but I'm not missing church. Right. I missed that testimony with those guys because of that. Because I can't play now, but I sure would have liked to have had that testimony.
Yeah.
Right. I remember my mom. She went to cosmetology school, and at the college, and they said, "Well, our graduation's on Sunday night." She goes, "I won't be there."
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, why not? I mean, if you don't walk, you don't get your diploma. She goes, "Then I don't get it because I'm going to church on Sunday night." And her and the dean went round and round and round on that. And guess what happened? She got her diploma, or she said she did. And she did cosmetology after that. She was cutting hair, but what a powerful statement that when you push against some of that and you go and they come back and go, you know what? That's okay. I mean, we really have to. We have to consider that.
Yeah, and that's to go back where you were asking earlier. That shows the proof about sports are a fun. How can I phrase it without throwing off so many people here? It's a fun hobby. It's not a career because
for most people, it's not going to be a career.
Exactly. There we go. That's exactly what I was getting to. For most people, it's not going to be a career. Does your kid have a chance to make it pro? Less than 1%.
Yeah.
But I encourage, if your child is that less than 1%, that you show them to have that strong biblical background and to be the showcase, because they're on a stadium to millions of people, and that testimony that he or she can display to the world is what makes it more powerful and makes it more rewarding at the same time.
Yeah.
And I would like to get your views on what you thought about that first versus what you thought about the resulting answer.
I would definitely agree with it, and it's like whenever you hear other people's points of view, it really changes your point of view. And I would agree and say, like, yes, God does care about sports. He doesn't care about where he wants you to always be at sports, but he cares about it to where if it can bring glory to him and you can get other people to hear your testimony and be saved, then yes, he cares about it. He cares about what's going to bring him the glory, or rather the people that are in the sport.
Right. And that's good. And it just, perspective is all what matters the most, you know, or perception. I mean, perception.
Yeah. They say perception is reality. That's not true.
No, reality is a hard thing to
people
come
see
across.
it. People see it. And what they see you do is what they,
Right. Exactly.
what you become in their eyes. So,
Exactly. And I had a couple other questions that I want to bring up, and I thought these were actually pretty nice. And I'll go through the questions first, and we'll ask Miss Kaya K over here how much time we have.
Okay.
So first question that was also brought up was, how do I apply the Bible to my athletic experience? And then another one is, how do I deal with injuries and missed expectations? That one I can actually answer because
Well,
I've
I can
experienced.
too.
Oh yeah, you're broken too. That's
Yeah,
nice.
I'm broke.
You're not broke.
I can't answer that.
Yeah.
No finger sports on the guitar, piano.
I can't answer that.
And then the last one is, and this one I thought was a very good, bold question, was, what does it mean to glorify God through sports? And I feel like we kind of brushed on it a little bit. We can definitely go more into detail, but let's go ahead and target the how do I apply the Bible to my athletic experience? And to me, and I'll go ahead and kick it off for the conversation for us, I think it's kind of like what we got to witness with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She knew her priorities and where to apply them by putting the church and her Bible studies first. And to me, it feels like it helps showcase her athletic abilities because she knows the dedication that she had to do, the enduring, which is true. It's kind of enduring because you're reading, making sure you comprehend, you're studying. So that's kind of a mental endurance race for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that parallels to the endurance that you're trying to build up on the court.
Right.
So she's learning all these traits through her Bible studies that she knows that she can apply towards it. She knows that if she's struggling in somewhere and she's trying to understand something, she prays about it. Mm-hmm. She prays it to understand, like as she has prayed how to actually do a layup and stuff like that, which some people's like, oh, that's cute and cheesy. And like, no, it's good. It's actually, it's cute and cheesy, but at the same time, it's legit. Like she knows that she's struggling there and she knows who can she turn to. Yeah. And that's God. Yeah. Because she knows she's putting in the work for it. Because God's not going to be like overnight and say, okay, you can lay up and you can jump 4 feet to that bucket. But no, God wants you to put that work into it. Correct?
Yep. I remember a story, and I think it was from Notre Dame, a guy that was, and I think Lou Holtz may have told this story about this kid that was on the team, didn't really get to start that much, but he kept, my dad's at the game. Can I play? Can I play? Well, his dad died, and he had played a little bit. His dad never saw him play, but he got out there and, of course, blew the coaches away because he was catching the ball, running because he was an offensive player. He's a skills player, and I think he ended up scoring a couple touchdowns. But one of the times he was running, he ran down the sideline. And he stepped out of bounds and came back in, and he stopped. He went back and he handed the ball back to the referee.
He knew it was a penalty.
Well, he goes, what were you doing? The referee never called it. He goes, I stepped out of bounds. And
you did not see that type of ethics.
He said, but the referee didn't call. He says, this is the first time my dad's ever seen me play football, and I'm not going to cheat. And the
that's
coach,
awesome.
Oh man, that blows you away. Now, here's the other side of that. I had a young man that used to work for me, and his daughter was, I guess she's phenomenal. Young girl, young league, was throwing she was a pitcher, threw so fast that the coaches, the teams were watching her, and we were talking there, and he gave me the liberty to do this as we were talking. I go, do you not have, he said he was a Christian. I said, or believer. I said, do you have her? He says, no, not when we're doing this. This is what she focuses, what she does. I go, I want you to consider this. What do you think the chances are of her really ever going to do something big with you? You think she's going to make it to college and play and then do something professional with
Right.
that? And he goes, no. I go, consider this then. You're focused on her fast pitch and not on her relationship with God. When she's 35 or 40 years old and she's dealing with what does she get divorced or not, or what does she do with her kids or not, it won't matter that she could throw a 40-mile-an-hour fastball. What will matter is she had a relationship. She knows who to go to get an answer to that question.
Right. And I think
that goes back to your, there's a very small group that's going to be professionals, and most of us are going to be sitting watching on TV.
Right. And you saying all that brings back to another incident that I may or may not have been a part of. And it was more because I was splitting it all up. But it amazes me, and this is where the biggest struggle is when it comes to kids and athletes, and maybe musicians as well. And you are more than welcome to plug in on this. Is that a lot of parents live their athletic lives through their children.
Yeah.
And I can say that it's probably a blessing in a sense that Harper didn't stick to soccer, because that might have been my showcase. Instead, she did basketball, which I was too short to play and didn't get much on the court time. So it was more of a blessing to her. But there was an incident where there was this one individual that was living like aggressively through the child. And I mean, hounded the poor kid. And you got to realize, like, when you're doing that type of stuff to your child, like, it not only are you discouraging that child, but you're creating these athletic complexes to them where they don't want to display. They don't want to show up and do their best, because all they can think of is, I'm going to mess something up.
Yeah.
To the point where it turned into a backyard brawl on the court. And I didn't agree with that brawl. So I sprinted down there to split it up. And the gentleman didn't like that. He wanted to make sure that his child was known to being the athlete of the mom. And that's a problem, because if that kid had any inkling of showing a testimony and not knowing what her background is, that is literally out the window.
Yep.
And that could be damaging.
It takes a long time to get it. A good testimony, and it takes just a second to lose it.
Right. And that's why when I see myself and like how I grew up playing sports versus how my daughter's raised versus sports, I am so happy the way she has, because when I was growing up, I was literally the one that was full of myself. But I see it now as a big testimony, because I can show that story and encourage not only my child, but I encouraged a lot through our children, through the youth ministry, when I was teaching about it, how I thought everything was me. I put in the work. I did the effort. I was the one that said, yeah, I believe in him.
Yeah.
Didn't know much about him.
Yeah.
But I was the one that said that a lot.
How quickly he can take it away.
Right. Oh, and he definitely took it away. I mean, I had scholarships and everything. In one game, I snapped my leg in half, and it was all gone really, really quick.
Yep. I remember the day.
Yeah. Which brings up to that second part of our question. And before I hit into it, I wanted to see if you had anything you wanted to plug in with all that, any experiences or comments about it.
How fast can you throw a softball? No, I'm just kidding.
If that was part of a job application, I'd be all over it. Then my shoulder would be fried again for another 6 months.
I would agree with what you said on how whenever the parents try to live through the kids, that's not something that I have ever personally experienced, because my parents didn't do that to me. They letted me go, and they letted me find my own path where I wanted to be. And it's still not a path that I've found yet. I haven't, and it takes a long time. And wherever you grow up differently, wherever, as you said, the child whose parent was living through them, that really damages your child a lot. It damages them so much. And I'm glad that I've never been through that, and I haven't experienced that. My only athletic one is my dad. My mom isn't athletic, so she
between you and your sister, who's more athletic?
Me.
You heard it first. So she's on live. She's going to.
You said you're still trying to find out your groove.
Yeah, I'm still trying.
But aren't you starting to align with your groove?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out. I obviously like doing the YouTube and stuff. And
you've been doing a great job, by the way, at it.
Interpretive dance.
No, thank you. No. I was not given those G's. No, but I'm just, and that's something that all parents should do. They should let their kids, you should guide them, but you shouldn't force them into a path. Because you're not God, you don't know what their path is.
And I love that you plugged that in, because yesterday that was literally what the topic was going to be about, was coddling versus degenerates.
Yeah.
And I love how that got thrown in there, because that's true. I mean, you got moments, if you're over coddling your child, they're yeah, sorry to say this way, they're not going to know how to fend for themselves at all.
You're not preparing them for what's goes on outside.
As soon as they get out of the house, it's an eye opener and probably going to be a mental breakdown for them.
Yeah.
But then it goes the opposite direction too.
You can watch some of the politics in the last few days and see kids that had adults that had been coddled.
Yeah, throwing the tantrums and everything. But I mean, it goes to the other side too, where you fend them, make them fend for themselves, like the old Spartan traditions where they're gone for 3 years fighting wolves and come back. They're going to show that they don't need anybody.
Yeah. Would we say there's the one side is you do everything for them, and the other side is you let them be raised by wolves.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's probably a balance.
We got to find that balance for everybody. And I mean, even when you grow older at your age, you still have those opportunities to learn to find that balance. That's the cool thing about God, is the fact that it's never technically too late.
Yeah.
Like, he will get you no matter how. It's whether he's breaking your leg or giving you gray hair. Or, I mean,
don't talk about her gray hair. She's self-conscious about that.
But going, let's kick it up to our last question real fast before we go offline. And I didn't get to say this earlier. If you were a part of the Facebook group, we actually had a raffle going on for a free T-shirt and a free Bible. So if you signed up to that, we'll be calling your name out here later and reach out to you. So let's kick off this last part. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You ready? Okay. What does it mean to glorify God? And then how could you do it through sports?
As you can hear from glorify God? There's a lot to that, but the only way we're going to know really how to do it is through what does the Word of God tell us? I mean, you got his book that said, here's how you glorify me, right? Jesus made it simple to say for him and to do for him. But he says, if you love me, keep my commandments.
Mm-hmm.
So we have his commandments. And then he gives us the body that is a necessary part, the church, to bring these things together.
Right.
So that we can become what it is he wants us to be. So, in a corporate environment, in sports or whatever, I think the things that we've been talking about is, how do I glorify God? When I tell, like that, I can't remember the guy's name from the Olympics, going, I'm not running on Sunday, but you trained for all of this, right? And he goes, I'm not running on Sunday. Why? Because God gets this day. Now, there's, again, today people look at that and says, I could maybe squeeze. I think he did later on.
Yeah.
I think he did, but the whole deal is, I'm supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time, and that's where I'm going to be. And I guess it was good enough they made a movie about it, right?
Yeah.
And so people see that, but other people look at that, well, that's ridiculous. I mean, God really doesn't care. It's like, you can do this or you can do that, and God doesn't really care. He says, but he gave us the command, and the command is a demonstration of my love for him. And then when I tell folks, when you have no options, right, you just do it. I don't have anything else to do. I guess I'll go to church. When you have options and you choose God, that's love.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I can do this, or I can do, and people, and this is why we do the re-church, or we're doing re-church here, is just to go. It's not about you coming in, getting fed, something, or hear a good joke and then leave. It's you to come in and mingle and to mix with the rest of the body, so that you can, and bringing it back to athletics. That's what they do.
The mingling.
That's what
that's
they
exactly
need to do.
What I was about to tie in and everything, is the fact that you have that community in the sports, that you're getting along with everybody else, and you don't know what their background is and your teammates and stuff like that, and you have that strong background.
How powerful would it be?
Really quick. We got a question it says, who is more athletic between you and your sister, Felipe?
I know exactly who this is from, and it's going to be me. Absolutely.
Well, you heard it.
It
Yep.
depends.
Wait. I bet there's a follow-up question now.
If we're asking about that between me and my sister, then it's going to be depends on the sport. If we're playing each other in soccer, I'm going to school her all day. And still with a bad leg, I'll probably still school her all day. If it comes to basketball, I shoot, her hand's just going to be standing straight up and block my shot, which is not going to be much fun.
Yeah.
But
was there a follow-up on that?
No, there's no other questions.
Oh, okay.
But
So funny.
going back,
Yeah.
no, yes, what we were that was I love that. That was awesome of them. But yes, the unity between everybody, and then you have the fact that you don't know the religious background of the other on your squad and stuff like that.
Right.
And the squad is a family, just like our church.
Mhm.
You're trying to build that
Yeah.
church because when you have a team, you got to make sure you trust everybody on that team because you know that I can pass the ball right to them or throw them out.
But you can't pass the ball to someone ain't there.
Right. Exactly.
Right? Same thing with the church. We think it's all about us.
Mhm.
What do I get? And it's like, wait a second, you came not just to get, but to give.
Right. There's no I in team. I used to joke with that and say there's no
there
I
is
in
a
team,
me.
but there is a me.
Yes.
I always used to say that, but the reality is
And meat. There is meat
There
in
is
team.
meat in team. But
And mate. Anyway.
yeah, no, this was a fun topic. And actually, before I kick it off to Kaya for the drawing, you were talking about the Olympic runner. You know, there's all these sports, soccer, football, baseball, Australian breakdancing, track. I mean, how would you do it without war? If you ever watch Hacksaw Ridge,
Yeah. Well, I know what it's about, but I haven't watched it.
He never. The true story was he never battled on Sundays,
Right.
and he didn't want to carry a gun or anything like that.
Right.
And I mean, those are testimonies. Those are powerful testimonies. And I'm going to pull away from that because I know time is against us.
Yeah.
But that's just an example that even though we talked about this topic in sports, it is applicable towards everything.
Yep.
Everything. There's no just definitive line that says this is what you can and cannot do. It is a merger between everything in your whole lifespan that God is a part of. It's like an intertwining spider web.
Yeah, we talk about professionalism in sports, but professionalism also in our jobs and stuff that we have. You do. I mean, I should be doing so well,
which you don't have to worry about work.
Yeah.
I should be performing at such a level that they can't afford to get rid of me. Right. And so, and I can do more. If I can do more in 6 days than they can in 7, right? Then can they miss me for a day?
Right.
Yeah.
Just like my daughter missing out 20 minutes of practice.
Yeah.
Can they do it? Yeah, they absolutely can do it without her. Can she put in the extra work to be still part of the powerful member of that team? Absolutely.
Yeah.
As long as she knows that God comes first.
God comes first.
And that comes second or third, really.
And you start setting those things, it's not. And we think when we talk about boundaries, it's really not. It's a boundary around protecting, right? Not about go out there and do this and do that. And you get a whole bunch of people now that's thinking, I don't need church. I can just do whatever, and I can worship in my, I can worship on the bank, and I can do it here and do it there. And it's like, well, no, you can't.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work that way.
I think we're going to go ahead and put a pin in it for right now. Be on the lookout if you're on our Facebook, Instagram, and now officially TikTok. We're trying to make sure we spread across of all of our platforms there to reach out to whatever we can. We're going to have some videos uploaded on TikTok that are going to be kind of fun. At the Reborn page on Facebook, that's the one where you can drop a lot of comments. Kaya does a tremendous job of posting Bible verses every day. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure we take care of everything. But make sure you subscribe and like to our YouTube channel. We've been able, this week, we've actually started gaining, we see an increase in our subscription, which I got to thank everybody out there. Please keep sharing it, and please make sure you like and follow all of our platforms, including YouTube. Get that to grow for us. And like I stated earlier, we had a raffle that we're about to kick off. And if you're watching live, you're about to see your name get drawn out of this bag. If you're not, you'll be receiving a DM from me or Miss Kaya over here on your, of course.
It came on when you know it.
That's like,
and it's muted. It's muted.
This is the worst way to get distracted with a squirrel moment.
No kidding.
So while the old man is figuring out his phone, we're going to upgrade to a jitterbug next.
Jitterbug?
Yeah, there's no screen. It's just buttons.
Oh.
So Miss Kaya, go ahead and you do the honors and announce the name. Oh, I'll shake it. All right.
Shake it, baby.
All right. For the winner of the free Reborn t-shirt and the Bible is
Valerie Parks.
Valerie Parks. If you are watching, congratulations on winning that. Me or Miss Kaya will be reaching out to you on Facebook to get your details and to get that to you. All right. Otherwise, here at Reborn Live, 4 are in, 1 is out, and we are offline.